some places they also took hoplites to add to their forces, and so came to Athens. Here they found that most of the work had already been done by members of their anti-democratic party. Some of the younger men had formed a group among themselves and had murdered without being detected a certain Androcles, who was one of the chief leaders of the Democratic Party. There were also some other people whom they regarded as undesirable and did away with secretly. Athenians were afraid when they saw their numbers, and no one now dared to speak in opposition to them. If anyone did venture to do so, some appropriate method was soon found for having him killed, and no one tried to investigate such crimes or take action against those suspected of them. Instead, the people kept quiet, and were in such a state of terror that they thought themselves lucky enough to be left unmolested even if they had said nothing at all. They imagined that the Revolutionary Party was much bigger than it really was, and they lost all confidence in themselves, being unable to find out the facts because of the size of the city and because they had insufficient knowledge of each other. Throughout the Democratic Party, people approached each other suspiciously, everyone thinking that the next man had something to do with what was going on. From the I Ching. 6 at the top means shock brings ruin and terrified gazing around. Going ahead brings misfortune. If it has not yet touched one's own body, but has reached one's neighbor first, there is no blame. One's comrades have something to talk about. When inner shock is at its height, it robs a man of reflection and clarity of vision. In such a state of shock, it is of course impossible to act with presence of mind. Then the right thing is to keep still until composure and clarity are restored. But this a man can do only when he himself is not yet infected by the agitation, although its disastrous effects are already visible in those around him. If he withdraws from the affair in time, he remains free of mistakes and injury. But his comrades, who no longer heed any warning, will in their excitement certainly be displeased with him. However, he must not take this into account. From The Art of Warfare on Land, by David Chandler. The basis of Mongol warfare was unadulterated terror. Massacre, rapine, and torture were the price of defeat, whether enforced or negotiated. The whole apparatus of terror was remorselessly applied to sap the victim's will to resist, and in practical terms, this policy of frightfulness certainly paid short-term dividends. Whole armies were known to dissolve into fear-ridden fragments at the news of the approach of the Tumans. Many enemies were paralyzed before a Mongol army crossed their frontiers. From The Secret Agent, by Joseph Conrad. This is what you should try for. An attempt upon a crowned head or on a president is sensational enough in a way, but not so much as it used to be. It has entered into a general conception of the existence of all chiefs of state. It's almost conventional, especially since so many presidents have been assassinated. Now let us take an outrage upon, say, a church. Horrible enough at first sight, no doubt, and yet not so effective as a person of an ordinary mind might think. No matter how revolutionary and anarchist in inception, there would be fools enough to give such an outrage the character of a religious manifestation. And that would detract from the especial alarming significance we wish to give to the act. A murderous attempt on a restaurant or a theater would suffer in the same way from the suggestion of non-political passion. The exasperation of a hungry man, an act of social revenge. All this is used up. It is no longer instructive as an object lesson in revolutionary anarchism. Every newspaper has ready-made phrases to explain such manifestations away. I am about to give you the philosophy of bomb-throwing from my point of view, from the point of view you pretend to have been serving for the last 11 years. I will try not to talk above your head. The sensibilities of the class you are attacking are soon blunted. Property seems to them an indestructible thing. You can't count upon their emotions, either of pity or fear, for very long. A bomb outrage to have any influence on public opinion now must go beyond the intention of vengeance or terrorism. It must be purely destructive. It must be that and only that, beyond the faintest suspicion of any other object. You anarchists should make it clear that you are perfectly determined to make a clean sweep of the whole social creation. What is one to say to an act of destructive ferocity so absurd as to be incomprehensible, inexplicable, almost unthinkable, in fact, mad? Madness alone is truly terrifying, inasmuch as you cannot placate it either by threats, persuasion, or bribes. Moreover, I am a civilized man. I would never dream of directing you to organize a mere butchery, even if I expected the best results from it. But I wouldn't expect from a butchery the results I want. Murder is always with us. It is almost an institution. The demonstration must be against learning, science, but not every science will do. The attack must have all the shocking senselessness of gratuitous blasphemy. From Samurai Zen, The Warrior Koans, by Trevor Leggett. When Odawara Castle fell to the attackers in the Meiji period, the end of the 15th century, Akiko, who had been a maid in the service of Mori Fujiyori, the lord of the castle, escaped with a cat, which had been her pet for years, and then the cat became a wild, supernatural monster which terrorized the people, finally even preying on the infants in the village. The local officials joined with the people in attempts to catch it, but with its strange powers of appearing and disappearing, the swordsmen and archers could find nothing to attack, and men and women went in dread day and night. Then, in December of the second year of Eisho, 1505, Priest Yakoku went up on the dais at Hokokuji and drew the picture of a cat, which he displayed to the congregation with the words, "As I have drawn it, so I kill it with katsu, that the fears may be removed from the hearts of the people." He gave the shout and tore to pieces the picture of the cat. On that day, a woodcutter in the valley near the Takuma villa heard a terrible screech. He guided a company of archers to the upper part of the valley, where they found the body of the cat monster, as big as a bear cub, dead on a rock. The people agreed that this had been the result of the master's katsu. Tests. 1. How can tearing up a picture with a katsu destroy a living monster? 2. That devil cat is right now rampaging among the people, bewitching and killing them. Kill it quickly with a katsu. Show the proof. From the I Ching. When a man has learned within his heart what fear and trembling mean, he is safeguarded against any terror produced by outside influences. Let the thunder roll and spread terror 100 miles around. He remains so composed and reverent in spirit that the sacrificial rite is not interrupted. This is the spirit that must animate leaders and rulers of men, a profound inner seriousness